Welcome back to the Cannabis Corner. I am your humble co-host, and I hope you're all having a very happy holiday season. This article we're going to go over is from CBS DFW, linked below in the description section. Quote, "I don't smoke anymore. Willie Nelson gives up marijuana for health reasons." So if you want to check out the interview as well as the article, feel free and do so. Country music legend Willie Nelson says he stopped smoking pot 65 years after he rolled his first joint. Quote, "I don't smoke anymore. I take better care of myself today than I did." The 86-year-old Texan says due to ongoing health breathing issues, he no longer smokes marijuana. In a candid TV interview in San Antonio, Nelson admitted that years of smoking weed had taken a toll on him. Now, from what I watched in this short segment of the interview, I hope that eventually CBS DFW posts the full interview up unedited. I understand why they have to do that for like the news and 30-minute news piece. They can only put so much in there. But for an interview of country legend musician Willie Nelson, I think that we deserve to see the full interview, unedited, raw, start from finish. I would like to see that very much, CBS DFW. But this is what he says, quote, "I have abused my lungs quite a bit in the past, so breathing is a little more difficult these days, and I have to be careful. I've mistreated myself since I was this big," and he points to the floor when he was younger, obviously. "I started smoking cedar bark and went to cigarettes and whatever, and that almost killed me." So in the video audio interview, he doesn't specifically say marijuana is responsible for his breathing issues. It's smoking cedar bark and cigarettes. I think that probably is what's taken a toll on his lungs. I mean, obviously the man is 86 years old. When you get that old, you start to have health problems. This past summer, Nelson had to cancel 6 shows on his concert tour because he had breathing issues. For decades, Nelson has sung the virtues of smoking pot and even his own line of marijuana products. By the way, at the end of this interview, the anchor does reiterate that he's still an advocate for marijuana legalization, which is conveniently left out of the article, but it's in the video, by the way. The singer said that he made a decision to quit for good and focus on performing. He was just in North Texas in November performing a sold-out show at Billy Bob's Texas, and also took the stage at the CMA Awards in Nashville. Nelson's health issues have sparked rumors that he's near death and struggling to stay alive. When asked about the comments, he said, "I don't give a shit." And then he said, "Excuse me," because, obviously that would get some sort of reaction from anyone, especially Mr. Nelson, who's a nice guy. And he wanted to excuse himself. And he says, "I'm here. I'm glad to be here. I'm lucky to be here." Nelson said he doesn't plan on stopping touring anytime soon and has already have dates lined up for 2020. So that is a brief clip from legendary country music singer Willie Nelson. I don't know how long the interview is because we only get like a minute at the most. Well, most of it is like the interview, then it's clipped in with the anchor saying a few things. But once again, I would like to actually be able to check out the full interview from CBS DFW. So if they could just go ahead and put that up, that would be great. But back from my radio days, whenever we had to interview people, whether it was musicians, the same thing applies to TV. I understand that you only have like a certain amount of time when it comes to these interviews, and you're on the clock, so you can only put maybe like a minute's worth of the interview up. You have to edit it, but sometimes those edits can make things seem a little different than what the interviewee said. So I think that him quitting marijuana was not because he's anti-marijuana. Obviously, Willie Nelson is still very pro-marijuana, very pro-legalization. But it's other issues concerning his lungs and his health that made it more difficult for him to smoke cannabis. And that makes complete sense. And it also reminds me of another point that activists, including my dad, would always say, that unlike other drugs out there, like the hard stuff, or even cigarettes, or alcohol products, or even over-the-counter medication, or big pharma, marijuana is not addictive compared to all that other stuff. So I'm sure that despite the fact that Willie Nelson has spent 65 years smoking marijuana, he probably was able to quit it almost cold turkey. I mean, he probably thought about it a time or two, like, I would really like to have a smoke, but I'm sure it was nowhere near as bad for him as, say, somebody overcoming an alcohol addiction or any other type of substance abuse problems that they're getting help for through rehab. So this article, I wouldn't call it completely misleading from DFW, CBS, but at the same time, like I stated, I really wish were allowed to see the full interview, unedited, start to finish. That would be nice. But we probably never will, unless they decide to post it up on their website, which, you think they would because, country music legend Willie Nelson, some people may want to see what he has to say. And if it is posted, feel free and let me know in the comments section. But yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that Willie Nelson's having health issues, and it's to be expected for someone in their 80s. And I think for an 80-year-old, he's still doing quite well. And, he's been touring all his life, singing, performing. And he even says that it was other things that contributed to, the problem with his lungs. He didn't take care of himself. He accepted responsibility of that. He wasn't blaming anybody else. He talked about how he smoked cedar bark. Like, who would smoke cedar bark? Is that a thing? I mean, I'm from Texas, and this is the first time I'm hearing of that. To smoking cigarettes and to whatever, and who knows what he meant by whatever. Obviously, this is CBS DFW's official YouTube account, and sadly, they do not have the full version of the Willie Nelson interview. But maybe if you go on the comment section and you politely ask for it, maybe they'll put it up, because I'm sure the interview lasted for a little bit longer than just for a minute or less. But I do believe that despite the fact that Willie Nelson no longer smokes, he is obviously still an advocate for marijuana legalization. That will never change till the day he is put in a shallow grave so that he can still breathe. How'd the song go? I do know me some Willie Nelson, by the way. But anyways, I wish Willie Nelson the best. Hopefully he'll be around for a few more years. Hopefully he'll still able to keep touring for everybody, because I know there's a lot of Willie Nelson fans out there, myself included. Not a hardcore fan, mind you, but I do appreciate the man and his work, his honesty, as well as him still being an advocate for marijuana legalization in America. And hopefully one day that will become a reality.